Capital Games released the December 2023 Journey Ahead for Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth today, and I thought we could take a moment to read the post together, and then I'll provide some closing remarks and try to highlight some of the more important takeaways. We're excited to be returning to you with another Journey Ahead. We've had a pretty wild 6 months. We've launched the Mines of Moria raid, complete with a fearsome Balrog. We've released almost 3 legendary characters. It's nice to finally get full confirmation that Gandalf the Grey is a legendary character, a new glyph system, and our first what-if shattered characters. This journey ahead will be a bit different and deviate from our usual chaptered format. While this edition is focused more on the immediate update release, I will largely cover some thoughts we've have about glyphs and Thorin Oakenshield. Thank you for the amazing year we have had, and I can't stress enough how happy we are to be going on this journey with you. The glyph system is a critical part of the gameplay for this style of game. Being able to modify your collection and customize your characters provides a level of long-term strategic depth that makes these games really exciting. There's a ton of things we want to watch and pay attention to as you all start to get your hands on the feature during your daily play. Some of the plethora of questions we have are, from a collection standpoint, how fast are glyphs being collected and from where? Do you have enough glyphs to support your teams? Are you continuing to chase new glyphs to find those perfect ones for each of your units? How are you using the glyphs you've found? Is there a general known strategy on which glyph sets should be equipped on each character? Or is there more a strategy for full squads? Did we do a good job of making the sets matter? Or are secondary stats driving more of the excitement? Finally, how well are glyphs performing when actually using them? Has the PvP meta shifted? Are certain glyph sets dominating arena? Which sets are performing best in the raid? Have these sets changed up? Which factions are top of the raid meta per chapter? Is there a secondary stat out there that's throwing a wrench into it all? Overall, our goal is to ensure that glyphs are exciting to explore and easy for you to adopt. Hopefully, the above also gives you some insight on how we as developers evaluate our features at release and ongoing. Every time we do something to the game, we are oftentimes most excited to see how things change, and not in a surface level way, rather in the thousands of micro decisions that players make in the day-to-day live environment. So Nick's not really giving us much insight per se into the glyphs, but I think they've done a really good job of providing an explainer on the glyph system. They provided us a lot of really good infographics, and the Journey Ahead actually details or provides a link to those details about glyphs. If you haven't had a chance to read that, I would highly recommend that you do that, because it looks like glyphs are going to be dropping into the game in just a few hours. I find it very interesting that they are posing all of these questions to us, and I think it's a really good sign that the developers want to listen to our feedback. Time will tell whether they actually listen to the feedback, but I would like to hold their feet to the fire and maybe circle back on a couple of these questions after we've had a little bit of time to work through the glyphs. So let me know down in the comment section below whether you would like to see some glyph deep dives on this channel. I'd certainly like to go through these questions and see how glyphs have affected me, and maybe in doing that we can put together a video that will help some of you as you're trying to put together glyphs on your roster. So next they talk about Thorin Oakenshield. Thorin Oakenshield is being released as our 3rd official legendary character of the game. We've been striving to make sure each faction is released with powerful characters that work together with strong, thematic gameplay that is just fun to use. Elrond gives that timeless, immortal feeling to the elves, and Gandalf gives players the ability to choose when to use that epic sacrificial finisher. With Thorin, we are expecting the same kind of unique gameplay through the use of his stubbornness of dwarfs, the feeling of finding that one target and never wavering in your resolve. In addition, we wanted to really nail that feeling of Thorin's company just as they are setting out from the Shire. All of Thorin's company has been moved to back end in their collection screens, so they can celebrate the start of their journey together. Personally, I think Bilbo's unlock is my favorite, with dwarves knocking over his precious plates. You'll see what I mean in the game soon. I'll also make a personal recommendation that you look out for Bomber and his kit. He's a pretty sleepy guy, and we've gone out of our way to really elevate that. I'd be remiss if I also didn't give a note about Thorin, in that he has one of the most awesome cinematic attacks, King Under the Mountain, in the game, in my opinion. We hope that we continue to straddle that amazing line that is the literary tradition of the books, a mix of the humor and grim realities that our heroes must face. So, interesting, they talk a little bit about Thorin's company, collection screens changing. I know I saw someone mention earlier today on the official Discord that the character screens had changed a little bit, and this might be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the updates that are coming into the game today. The interface looks really good. I think they've done a really good job of fixing the interface, and it's really cool to see these little smaller interactions where the character screens or collection screens are a lot different. They're more vibrant. They look professionally done. And it's just really cool to kind of get a glimpse into the lives of each character when you go to their collection screens. The other thing that's interesting to note here, they do mention Bilbo and Bomber's kits or their unlocks. And I know there was some speculation as to the way that you would unlock each of these characters, but I don't really buy into that. I think it's obvious these are going to be marquees, but it will be curious to see the visuals that we get for these unlocks. Maybe there's going to be some scenes that we get in the marquee events that are really cool looking. And someone mentioned that Bomber was basically Snorlax in some comments I was reading earlier, and I thought that was hilarious. The sleepy guy comment made me chuckle, but I'm really curious to see what those interactions look like. And I'm definitely, my attention is piqued by this King Under the Mountain ability for Thorin. So certainly looking forward to seeing some of that. Next, Nick gets into the holidays. Part of the brevity of this journey ahead and my lateness, is the holiday period. Now, we aren't turning off the lights and leaving the one laptop in sleep mode. It is a crazy compacted time for game makers everywhere, not just us, trying to get our release in for the end of the year so we can make sure that they run smoothly and don't break when you're trying to enjoy the game during your holidays. That said, we will be monitoring, but don't expect any major news from us through the rest of the month, unless something breaks, or in which case we'll be on site and handy. All that said, whatever your location and traditions, we hope this December treats you and yours most kindly. I cannot continue to stress how lucky we count ourselves to be able to be part of your lives, and how thankful we are that you play our game. Thank you for being a great community. We will see you in the new year. And then there is a disclaimer below Nick's sign off that this announcement may change as we listen to community feedback and continue developing and evolving our live service and content. I think that may just be a basic disclaimer that they put at the end of any of these posts. I certainly am curious, based on the community feeling today, or really we can call it the community outrage. I'm certainly interested in seeing whether they do change this post at all. But just want to share a couple of closing comments that I had. I was taking some notes on the journey ahead when I first read it. So my first comment is this really felt more like a brief year-end review, and I should emphasize the word brief, because this is a lot of information that we kind of already knew. Definitely a few tidbits in here that are interesting, and certainly I don't want to discount the fact that they are wanting us to provide a lot of feedback on the Glyph system. There are two items that I really wanted to see that I didn't, and I'm hoping that maybe we'll get some clarification when we enter January. Perhaps they're going to follow this up with a 2024 Outlook video, or maybe not a video, but at least a post. But the two things that caught me off guard that weren't in here is there's no mention of multi-squad, and I know that's something that previously was suggested that they were working on to bring to us sometime in January or February at the very latest, Q1 2024. And the other thing is that there's not really any mention of work that's being done on guild quality of life features. And some of those things would be an API. Really, the API is the most important part of this, but ways to better track players. So key tracking, raid performance tracking, roster optimization, just the ability to see someone's roster. And I think that would really go into the multi-squad as well. The ability, similar to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where you can see a character's investments and what someone else is doing, the squads that they used for previous multi-squad battles and that sort of thing. Most important thing that I want to highlight here is we need to keep in mind that the CG employees are human. Things happen that we don't know about. People get sick. People are dealing with struggles that we don't understand, and it's not their job to tell us what those struggles are. Nick mentions that the holiday season kind of played into this, and probably a lot of people taking off, the inability maybe to get with his teams and have a meaningful discussion about what they want to put forward. So I think we just need to be patient. We need to give them the opportunity to get together and huddle in early January, and maybe we'll get something then. Just keep in mind, it's the holiday season. They have friends and family just like we do. So the other thing is, please don't take this out individually on CG Heem or Nick, or really anyone for that matter. And if you do voice your feelings to CG, please try to do it in a constructive manner. We need to be a positive community. Certainly we can be upset about the way something was rolled out, but we need to do it in a constructive way, because we're going to be part of this community and stakeholders. Then we need to show that we can be mature about it. Really, at this point, I think we need to relax. We need to enjoy time with our friends and family over the holiday season and through the end of the year. And let's just hope that we'll get a post in January, and I'm certainly excited for what's going to come in 2024. I think we just need to have an embodiment of that, an encapsulation of that in a post. And then finally, I want to point out that negativity around this Journey Ahead post shouldn't overshadow the hard work that CG has put in on the Thorin Legendary event, on the marquee characters that are coming, Udurs, Bomber, and Bilbo, or the glyphs, more importantly. I mean, just the glyphs alone are a huge undertaking, and I think they're going to be a transformative introduction into the game. The game will never be the same after this. It will probably be the most impactful thing that they ever release for the game. So really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video all the way through. I hope you enjoyed this content. It's definitely something that I have not really done before, and I'm hoping to do more of it if you find value in it. If you do, please like the video, subscribe, and comment down below with some of the things that you liked or didn't like about the video. Let me know how you feel about the Journey Ahead and what you're hoping to see when they hopefully post another Journey Ahead in January. Thank you. Quantum out.